Hey, what's going on YouTube? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Asher coming at you guys another live stream, man. Just wanted to go ahead and talk about the World Cup. Obviously, the World Cup ended yesterday by Spain defeating Argentina in the final extra time of 1-0. Spain, for the second time in its history, are the World Cup champions. The last time that they won the World Cup was back in 2010. And that was one of the greatest World Cup teams, I think, ever assembled. Like, you had guys like Sergio Ramos, Iniesta, Iker Casillas, and whatnot, uh, Puyol, and so on and so forth. Like, that was a really good team. Um, just masterclass team performance. I mean, I don't. I think Iker Casillas, if I could remember, because I was the one of the World Cups that I remember vividly watching when I was about 13, 14 years old. And Iker Casillas was like literally a brick wall. And the same thing could be said about the goalie for Spain. I forget his name for some odd reason. I don't know why his name's just not popping in my head at the moment. But he only gave up one goal. The Spain team only conceded one goal this whole tournament out of 8 games that they played. So, they played incredible. They won the Euros 2 years ago. Now they won the World Cup. Kind of similarly to like when they won the World Cup the first time, where in '08 they won the Europeans, and then 2 years later that's when they won the World Cup, and then they won the Europeans again. So yeah, shout out to the Spanish Football Club. Shout out to the team, the players, um, the country of Spain. I've been to Spain before, so it's a beautiful country. They love their soccer over there. I actually went to a Real Madrid game over there several years ago. They really do love soccer over there. That stadium could hold to over 100,000 people. When over there in Madrid, Spain, like they were going crazy yesterday. It was unbelievable to see that and whatnot, man. I have my mixed feelings when it comes to the Spain. Not really a fan of you know their politics and whatnot. Um, from what I heard, they're very far left and they're a very socialistic country. I don't want to get too much into politics. Like this is all about sports. We don't want to talk about politics, but that's one of the reasons I didn't really like Spain. And also, I'm just not a fan of Lamine Yamal. I think he's just overhyped. Um, it's great individually, like at 19, he's accomplished so much. But you also have to take it for account. He's been on the best team. He's been blessed. He's been spoiled, and he did not have a good tournament. And I'm tired of people, trying to make this agenda about Yamin Yamal that he's the next chosen one. That 5-month old photo of him when Lionel Messi's holding him and whatnot. I mean, at the end of the day, it was just one big coincidence. He won a contest, won a raffle. Him and his family, Lionel Messi. I had a photo shoot with him, and then damn near 20 years later, they're in the World Cup final. But at the same time, too, it's just I could really go all day about the corruption and just how like fucked FIFA is. Like I believe they're going to be. I believe the FBI. They just came out and said that they're investigating Argentina. Well, now apparently they're investigating Argentina because of how they handled things over the last match. And I'll get to that in just a second, but also the money laundering and whatnot. And, at the end of the day, man, this tournament, it sucks because this tournament, I believe, is overshadowed because I thought this was a hell of a tournament. If you take away all the bullshit, the propaganda, and all the corruption that was going on, and then just what it seemed like that there was an agenda that people was trying to do. This was actually a really good tournament, and this was a really good final. Like I don't want to say it was good as the France and Argentina final last time, but it definitely was worth the hype. It definitely, was fun, to watch. But then I know that I have to also think about it too. Like it's a miracle how even Argentina even got to extra time. Like, you know what I mean? Like Spain dominated. And I figured that like Spain was the best overall team this World Cup. And before the World Cup, even I said on Discord that like hey, I would preferably would want either Portugal because I'm a Ronaldo guy or US to win. But realistically, it's probably going to be either France or Spain. Probably going to be Spain, and I was right. Spain had the best overall team. I mean the fact that Yamin Yamal, um, hold on one second, guys. Hold on, I got a phone call. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to take care of a phone call real quick. But yeah, it was just like, and then like what Zach said himself, like, like with Enzo, like, he was like worthy of like having several red cards this game. Just yeah. So when the tournament started, I mean, Mexico and US, the both host nations won their first games. US made a statement against Paraguay, winning 4-1, playing really well. And then that's when, the rest of the group games have started. You saw Holland making his World Cup debut. He had a hell of a World Cup. Mbappe was Mbappe. Messi had a really good World Cup as well. But I feel like that there comes an asterisk to it because, like I said before, I cannot sit up here and say that it was a great tournament, but I can't sit up here and like, say that it was like the best tournament, the best World Cup, like people are saying this is the best World Cup ever. I can't agree to that. Doesn't matter if it was an expanded tournament. By the way, I think that's really, I think they need to really get rid of the 48 teams. I think they should have just stick with 32. Now, apparently, Gianni's talking about expanding it to 64, and it's just ridiculous, man. Like, you might as well have all the countries qualified at this point. Like, forget about the World Cup qualifiers. Like, like, you might as well, like, start handing that shit like handouts at the end of the day, man. Because this is just beyond ridiculous. The way that Gianni's running the FIFA organization is it's just wrong. It's just like, like who the fuck wants to watch a fucking match? Like the only reason why I watched a match between Congo and Uzbekistan is because I was depending on one of those teams to hope that Iran would make it out the knockout stage. But in reality, I didn't want to watch that shit. I went to a fucking Jordan. I went to a Jordan versus Austria game only because it was like cheap and affordable. The other World Cup games were really expensive, and I might whatnot. And it was fun. It was fun going to a World Cup game. That's one thing I'll remember about this World Cup is that I got to go to a World Cup game. Not that many people can get to say that. I got to go to a World Cup game with my dad, and that is an experience that I'll probably remember for the rest of my life. So for that, I am grateful. But I'm not going to go at home and watch it on my TV. You know what I mean? Like I'll be there in like the game in person was cool, but like, I mean, in reality is like, like I'm not, ethnically one of those. I don't represent any of those countries ethnically. Like my blood is Persian and I'm a US American citizen, born and raised in American, that's my nationality and whatnot. And then, yeah, of course, like, I love the superstars like the Hollands, the Mbappes, the Ronaldos, you know what I mean? Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane's and whatnot, and even for Messi, like, never really was the big Messi guy, but I acknowledge his greatness. And like, obviously Argentina is it draws a lot of attention because of Lionel Messi and because of the history of the Argentinian football club and whatnot. And then Mexico, Canada, whatnot, but I don't give a shit about these other countries. I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't, unless they make a run, like I just don't give a shit. So, but then yeah, that first Argentina game, Messi commits a foul on the leg. It's an obvious red card, and like they don't even call it. Messi ends up scoring 2 goals that game. Then in the game, because when you get a red card, you miss the next match. Didn't get a red card, when he scored a goal, and he ended up being for a moment the all-time goal scoring leader. Now, a lot of people were glazing that, and like to me, it was like that comes with a huge asterisk on it. Like, don't get me wrong, Messi had a good tournament, but at the same time, too, I think it comes with a big asterisk on it. At the end of the day, and you saw in a lot of games, especially during the knockout stage against Cape Verde. Cape Verde were playing their asses off, man. It was incredible that they, were able to fight against, Argentina. And towards the end of the game, like at least in regulation, in the 90th minute, player on Cape Verde gets fouled outside the box, and it should have been rewarded a free kick, but they didn't give it. It was a clear and obvious foul. And not saying that he would have made the kick and whatnot, but you may never know. Like we'll never know, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And then they play against Egypt, and they were down 2-0, and it seemed like, oh my God, Egypt's gonna pull off the upset. And then they started coming back and winning the game. But even before that, like there was like bullshit. Like they should have been up 3-0. Big difference between 2-0 and 3-0. A lot of people criticize, and that's what I mean. The media too was just like overglazing Argentina this whole tournament because Argentina was down 2-0 against Egypt and somehow came back and won. But Belgium literally like did the same shit, where they had to score 2 goals late against Senegal, and they won that game, towards the end with the game-winning penalty and whatnot. But nobody bats an eye about that. But because this is Argentina, because this is Lionel Messi, everybody wants to talk about that. And there was a goal that they got waved off, and it was a beautiful setup by Mohamed Salah to set up his teammate and whatnot. Should have got an assist, and they didn't call a goal, And there was another time where maybe they had missed the penalty and whatnot too. I don't know. I didn't really see that way. I thought it was all ball, but I'm just saying, what if that was Messi in that scenario? Would they have given Lionel Messi the penalty? I don't know. And then against Switzerland, a player gets a red card, and maybe had he not would have gone a red card in extra time. This happened during extra time. Maybe this game would have won the penalties, and who knows what could have happened in penalties. And then, with this game, people are complaining, well, Enzo Fernandez, he didn't deserve a record. No, it was warranted. Enzo Fernandez is a dirty player. He is beyond a dirty player. He deserved what he got. He's literally like the Dylan Brooks of soccer. I don't want to hear it. I genuinely do not want to hear it. He was like Wemby in the finals. No. And he's also a horrible person as well. So, but yeah, man, I'm so glad that fucking Mbappe, was able to, shout out to Mbappe this tournament, man. 10 goals. Despite the fact that France didn't win the tournament and whatnot, man, to score 10 goals, to retake the Golden Boot, and to also be the all-time leader in goals at 27. He's Mr. World Cup, won it at 19, won the Golden Boot at 23, and now is the all-time leader at 27. Won the World Cup, finished runner-up. Yeah, I didn't really left with nothing basically, but he had a hell of a tournament, and he's been having a hell of a year. He should win the Ballon d'Or, but they're not going to give it to him. They're going to give it to the guy who has the most success, not even just based off individual stats, but also rather, team success, and it better not be Lamine Yamal. I'm sorry, to have 1 goal this tournament against Saudi Arabia, to have 1 goal, not even an assist, Messi had more missed penalty shots than Lamine Yamal had goals and assists this tournament combined. What the fuck are we doing? This isn't even me hating on Lamine Yamal. It's just I am so sick and tired of the glazing of Lamine Yamal acting like he's the chosen one. He's, why? Because he won a World Cup as a teenager, Euros as a teenager. Give me a fucking break already. He was on the best team. And I even said that from before. I said, you know what? Spain's probably going to win the World Cup, or at least they have a great chance. There was a reason why they were in the top of the rankings. There was a reason why, they had the bet. They only conceded 1 goal, this whole tournament. With guys like Rodri, Pedri, and whatnot, and just all these other guys and whatnot. I can't name them all, but yeah, no. Spain was the best team this tournament. There was a reason why they won the Euros, and now they won the World Cup. They're good. And, I'm sick and tired of people and I think what it is too, with the reason why people want to annoy Yamal so much is because he's already has accomplished so much. Again, these are team success at a young age that I feel like people want to find that next superstar. Because here's the thing about Spain. Spain has won the World Cup, but you never got to hear, Sergio Ramos or Iniesta or, David Villa or any of these guys, great soccer players and whatnot, be anointed as they're the best in the world. Because Lamine Yamal is from Spain, but he's actually not even he has a Spanish citizenship, but by blood, he's not even Spanish. He's African, Middle Eastern and whatnot, whatever. Because when Ronaldo and Messi were playing in La Liga, Ronaldo's Portuguese, Messi's Argentinian, you know what I mean? And they're just trying to find that next Messi or whatever and whatnot. But the reality is he's not Lionel Messi. He'll never be Lionel Messi. You know what I mean? I'm just sick and tired of the glazing, and that was the thing in the finals that people were anointing that shit. And it's dude, he didn't even win the best young player award too. That's the crazy part, So yeah, I'm just sick and tired of the glazing from that's what really ruined the tournament. They didn't talk about Argentina as a team, Spain as a team. They were talking about Lamine Yamal and Lionel Messi. You know what I mean? When these two teams like at least for Spain, earned their right to the final. I can't say the same thing about Argentina. I'm sorry. Like, when you have FIFA in your back pocket, dude, like there was a lot of games where like there was just a lot of fishy shit going on, dude. Um, and this team clearly wasn't as better than in the 2022 World Cup. Like, I will say this, like, yeah, there was some bullshit towards the end, but I thought they deserved that World Cup. Messi, finally got a World Cup, but he had guys like Angel Di Maria on his side and some others. And, this time he didn't have me Di Maria. And like, even my cousin, who's a big Ronaldo guy, biggest Ronaldo fan that I know. And like, he wanted Argentina to win. He put money down on Argentina to win. He knew, he even told me like, Messi finally got himself a Copa America the year before the 2022 World Cup. And like this team, is really good. Like, he's gonna finally get a World Cup. Like, this is the best team he's ever had. And he was right, like he was able to win a lot of money, and yeah, like they were able to win the World Cup. But yeah, no, but besides about Argentina and whatnot, Spain, like, let's talk about some of the other notable countries. USA, I mean, I don't want to say they underachieved, but they did disappoint. They had a hell of a group stage, except for that last game, but they were kind of like benching their starters anyway, so it was kind of meaningless. But State went against Paraguay, scored 4 goals. Then they beat Australia 2-0. And then they played against Bosnia, and they were down 10 men at one point because Balogun got sent off, even though he scored a goal in the beginning of the game. But then Malik Tim had scored the dagger goal to send them over to the round of 16. Then the Balogun suspension got reversed thanks to President Donald Trump. And shout out to him presenting the trophy, by the way, yesterday too. It's kind of funny how he was trying to like celebrate with the Spain team. Apparently, the Spain team wanted to celebrate with him, but then he was told to like get off the stage and whatnot. But no, like in reality, like USA, like like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this team could make a run. This team could make a run," and I never really believed in that. Like I knew even if they would have beaten Belgium, like they weren't going to get past Spain or even France, But it would have been nice to have seen them make a really deep run. But like they played hard. Unfortunately, Pulisic got hurt, and he just didn't really have a good tournament, And I was so sick and tired of the narrative that Christian Pulisic's the best U.S. player that we've ever had, and I'm just all like, well, like clearly you're either a youngster or casual because you clearly forgot about how good Landon Donovan and Clinton Dempsey was, and then I can't forget about Tim Howard as well, even though he's a goalkeeper, and like I thought the team was good, but in reality was that, it wasn't good enough to really make a deep run, unfortunately, and losing to, Belgium like that, on US soil really hurt. And then, in the span of 3 days, you had USA, Mexico losing to England, and then, Canada losing to Morocco. But I will say this, though, out of all the 3 countries, at least Mexico gave it their all. Mexico did give it all against a really good England team that happened to finish third this tournament. And they had the home field advantage. They played in the altitude and whatnot, and they played hard. They played hard. They also played a little dirty, but they played hard. But Bellingham, man, Kane, like they were just too much. They were too much to handle. And even when they were down 10 men for like the last 20, 30 minutes of the game, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, England just found a way, and I really thought England was going to win this World Cup too. Like, I thought they had a really good chance, after they beat Mexico and beat Norway. And it looked like, they were like, because I knew like heading in the Argentina game, like I liked their chances, especially how well Bellingham was playing. And then you had Harry Kane and Saka and whatnot, Pickford. And they scored the first goal, and they even prior to that, before they scored that first goal, they played amazing. They played incredible. Then all of a sudden, their coach just started to make these substitutions, and it's like, no, dude, you cannot expect. It's one thing that it happened with Spain because Spain has the best midfield in the game with Pedri, Roger, whatever, like those guys, like they were going to hold down the fort. Like their defense was incredible. There's a reason why they only gave up 1 goal this tournament. It's different with England. Like, yes, you have Bellingham and others and whatnot, but you just no, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it was just you needed to keep getting greedy, dude. Like if you would have scored that second goal, or if hold on one second, guys. I'm getting another call. Hold on. So hello? Okay, there we go. I'm back, guys. So and then, like they just played conservative. They were just like trying to, like not, concede a goal there towards the end when reality was like they scored early in the second half. Like if it was after the 70th minute, fifth minute or so, then fine, defend. But you didn't need to do that. I thought that was just a terrible strategy plan. And then, Spain versus the other semifinal, Spain versus France, France did not show up. France did not show up at all. It was very disappointing. Mbappe, Dembele, Elise, like these guys, they didn't show up. They didn't show up. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, there was just a lot of not even just that. Back to the controversy for a second. Speaking of France, there was controversy, with like the Paraguay game, where apparently one of the Paraguay politicians was being super racist. Like the racism was just crazy this World Cup. You know what I mean? You have like different countries and whatnot, like Argentina, like, holding up a sign, like apparently talking about like the colonized vow between them and England, from a long time ago. And it's just like, and then apparently, like players covering them out saying some like racist shit and one like it was bad. It was just, you know, like I mean, yeah, dude, it was just and then, just don't get me wrong, like the hype was great. A lot of the games are entertaining and whatnot, but then when it came to like the racist shit, the political shit and whatnot, controversies, scandals, corruption and whatnot, like that's what really ultimately ruined the tournament. That's why Gianni Infantino or whatever his name is, that fucking Switzerland fuck, he cannot be the next. He cannot be the president for the next World Cup. He can't do it. He cannot do it. Like I'm literally begging on my knees almost, and it's just like because this is going to be 100 years of the World Cup. World Cup started in 1930. The next one's going to be in 2030. 100 years. It's going to be a lot of hype. Once again, it's going to be hosted by three countries. Some countries are going to have some games as well for the opening matches, but primarily it's going to be in Portugal, Spain, and another country. I think it was Morocco. You cannot ruin this tournament by doing the same shady shit that you've been doing, dude. Like you just can't do it. And to anybody that defends Gianni, dude, like honestly, you're on the wrong channel. Like go ahead and go to another channel that talks about Gianni all day in a positive and like, enlightening manner or whatever. So because this is not I mean, reality is this isn't even really a soccer channel. I'll be honest. Like I watched the World Cup, I watched the Euros, even Copa America. Maybe here and there I'll watch the UEFA's. But not really big into soccer. But I know how big the World Cup is. And my dad used to play. My dad used to play overseas, and you know has gotten to play with some notable soccer stars. Like not like during an actual game, but like during scrimmage and whatnot. Like he got to play with Alexi Lawless and whatnot during a scrimmage. He's had some connections as well. Like apparently my dad grew up with the Iranian manager, the Iranian manager, and that was another thing. I mean, I don't even want to talk about the whole Iran shit and whatnot. But hey, I do find it funny that Iran left this tournament. Technically, they didn't lose a game. They've had and Argentina lost more games this tournament than Iran did. You know what I mean? So I can kind of laugh about that a little bit. But the stars showed up, the crowd showed up. I mean, every game was like a sold out game. Even the Jordan versus Austria game we went to, that shit was sold out. A lot of people were into it. It was great to see, especially in the US. It was great to see because I know, out of the sports in the US, obviously football is king. Then follow that up, you have maybe basketball and baseball kind of up in the air. Then even people like preferred hockey over soccer. But I think that could go either way between soccer or hockey. I think that's debatable. But the three kings are obviously going to be football, baseball, and basketball. That's always going to be like the three kings of sports here in the United States. So, but it was good to see that, like especially like during the Belgium, 50 million people watching that game in the United States alone. 50 million people. So I thought that was pretty cool to see and whatnot, man. And hopefully the US, can get their shit together and then the next tournament, I mean, again, I'm not expecting them to win um the next World Cup, but it'd be nice to see them make it far for once. I would love to be wrong about Pulisic, because right now, like I'm just mad at Pulisic. I think a lot of people are. He did not play good, and but to say up here and say that he was the next, that he's better than Landon Donovan or Clint Dempsey and whatnot, like it was just diabolical. It was completely asinine and whatnot. So hopefully Pulisic and the rest of the U.S. team, the next World Cup, can get their shit together and make our country proud, man. Make our country proud. But yeah, if I had to give it a rating for this World Cup, I give it about like a 7.5, maybe a borderline 8. I give it like a B plus. You know, like it had its good moments, but I thought the bad outweighed more of the good. I did like the ending though. Yeah, I will say this much, like I love the fact that Mbappe won the Golden Boot instead of Messi and became the all-time scoring leader over Messi. I love the fact that Spain beat Argentina and that, Messi didn't even win the Golden Boot, whatnot. But you know what, man? If this is it for Lionel Messi, let me put my Messi hate to the side for a second. If this is it for Lionel Messi, salute to him. He's won a couple Copas, won a World Cup. And honestly, like I love the fact that Messi has a losing record in the World Cup finals and technically has a losing record overall in Copas and in World Cups because people want to call him Messi the GOAT. And that's fine. He can have it. Even as a Ronaldo guy, he can have that. If we're going to call Messi the GOAT, even though he has a losing finals record in World Cup and in, Copa play, because he's like 2-3 in Copa. He lost in 07. 2015, 2016, he lost, won in 2021, 2024, and then won a World Cup, then lost 2 World Cup finals. So he's 3-5. LeBron James is 4-6 in finals, right? So if we're going to give Messi the benefit of the doubt that he's the GOAT, then we have to do the same thing with LeBron in the NBA. That's why I love that he lost to the final. I love that shit. We have to give the LeBron the benefit of the doubt. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules here. I'm just the messenger. So, shout out LeBron James. He needs to make a damn decision already, man. Seriously, I love the guy, but fucking make a decision. Well, let me check my phone. Did he? They said that possibly today he might have made a decision. Hold on. Nope, nothing yet. No decision. Like this fucker needs to hurry up. Like I love LeBron to death, but Jesus Christ. But yeah, this is it for little Messi. Bow to him. Sure, like he can be the GOAT. I don't care anymore. I don't give a shit. And plus, like another thing too is that like we want to call Lionel Messi the GOAT, even though like Ronaldo has more UEFA championships than him. Then same could be said about LeBron and Jordan. People want to say Ronaldo's he can't be the GOAT. Even though he has more championships in UEFA than Messi. But what about with Jordan and LeBron? Like, because championships don't tell you the whole story. Even Jordan said that in the podcast one time. He was all like, Bill Russell has 11, I have 6. Does that make Bill Russell better than me? What I mean? You have to put all the shit out of context. I can go, I can go hours talking about the LeBron and Jordan debate and whatnot, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I said what I said. LeBron is the GOAT. If Messi has a losing finals record internationally, then LeBron should be the GOAT because he has and less championships than Cristiano Ronaldo in UEFA. Then LeBron should be the GOAT, despite the fact that he has a losing record in the finals. And that he has a bronze in the gold medal in the Olympics. Well, even though Tim Duncan has a bronze medal, that's the stupidest argument I've ever heard. Because Tim Duncan has a bronze medal, but he's the greatest power forward of all time, and it's arguably top 10 of all time. At this point, the LeBron haters, the people that still want to say Jordan's the GOAT, I feel like y'all are starting to run out of excuses at this point. I'm just saying, I feel like you guys are really starting to run out of excuses at this point. So yeah, But anyways, this is a World Cup video. We're not talking about LeBron. Anyways, I got a flood full of comments, so I'm gonna go ahead and read. Excuse me. each and every single one of them. Spain, the best football nation in the 21st century, as a Barca fan in La Liga, shouldn't win Ballon over Kane definitely should win it. Spain our championship, my friend. When it ends up pulling Zidane, a new saying got this. What's up, Jared? I'm glad Spain won. I don't want Argentina win. Messi, good World Cup. It's gonna get a shot about Robbie's about man. Like, are you? They're going to 64. And Italy says somehow not qualified. Don't tell Bondi that. You should go to a soccer game, Jared. I think you would actually enjoy it. Messi got a hat trick on Zidane's son. Yeah, stupid. Cabo Verde attacked Argentina better than England did. England still had controversy, and the tournament was full of controversy. Oh, yeah, a lot of controversy. England King punches Elliot Anderson in the back of the head. Dylan Brooks' soccer. I know but you made me laugh. World Cup Mbappe, stupid good. Harry Kane had 81. Yeah, you got to give it to Harry Kane. You really got it. I'm kind of biased. So I hope Mbappe wins it because he scored the most goals in La Liga. He scored the most goals in the World Cup, and I think he scored the most goals in the UEFA. But no mistake. But he shouldn't be out Kane for the Ballon d'Or. He was average, not bad. That's what I'm saying. He was just average. Dominated. Argentina should have lost multiple. Oh, absolutely. Saw a video. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like Argentina, like, they're totally like sore losers and they're fucking classless, dude. You know what I mean? They're a bunch of crybabies too, dude. Like you won the World Cup. Honestly, you probably didn't even deserve to be in the final, if we're being real honest. You only did because of FIFA, but we don't but we can go hours about having that conversation. And there was like the players were fine towards the end. Like, it was just bullshit, dude. Like, if it was like honestly, I could not wait until Messi retires internationally so that we don't have to ever hear from Argentina, like, unless they find their own Maradona or Messi, like, ever again. Like, it's just, I'm sick and tired of fucking Argentina, dude. Like, I'm sick and tired of that fucking, I'm not gonna go there as far as this country and the politics. I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna hold my tongue. Oh yeah, it was terrible against Belgium. I didn't think he was. Netherlands doesn't name the coach because to Mexico, that's December. I can hear you now. But more the Argentina side got embarrassed by England. Osman deserved to lose his job, losing like that. But yeah, fucking Germany was embarrassing. There was a lot of upsets too. Yeah, like Germany losing to Paraguay, to Norway somehow beating Brazil. Man, like that was incredible. And then yeah, now you got Neymar retiring, and Ronaldo is going to retire. Messi's up in the air, but you got to also think into consideration too. He will be 43 the next World Cup starts. You know what I mean? The Germans opposing him are going to get elected versus Spain, Morocco. Yes, I'm a casual cup play, but I'm big into international. Yeah, same. Euros, World Cup, Copa America. I'm pretty big into that. I lost in both finals, Germany and Spain. He has not made a decision yet. Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully the World Cup is better than this one. Hopefully there's not as much controversy, if not any controversy, but every World Cup, there's always controversy. I just hope it's not as big as this one because in reality was, like I said, the stars showed up. There was a lot of upsets. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of great storylines. Like, you had Cape Verde, you had Norway's run. Kylian Mbappe was just killing it. It was like the race between him and the Golden Boot race between him, Messi, and Holland. You know what I mean? You had some of the other countries like Egypt, coming out of nowhere and whatnot, man. You had Iran just battling every single game and whatnot. Despite all the restrictions with the government and U.S. government and whatnot. Like, so there was a lot of good. And then you saw a lot of excitement towards the end of games, like Holland scoring a game winner against Ivory Coast. You know, Argentina said they won, but they did come back against, Egypt, which was pretty crazy. Then, you had some games that went into penalties, like, Germany versus Paraguay, Morocco versus Netherlands, Switzerland versus Colombia. That was another big upset, in my opinion, too. I did not expect Colombia to lose to Switzerland, and I didn't expect Switzerland to even make it far. And then you just had, I mean, the host nations really showed up. Mexico showed up, U.S. showed up, even Canada showed up, and then you had, a great knockout stage game between two of the all-time greats and Luka Modric and Cristiano Ronaldo, two great teammates. And, you know, game also had a little controversy there towards the end too, but it was really fun to watch. You know, obviously Cape Verde, I think I'm sound like a broken record, but they were like the biggest story in this tournament and whatnot. They had a great run, you know, considering this was a first World Cup, and their goalie, I know I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but Hosina or whatever his name is, at 40 years old, man, you know, and they, you know, his mom, you know, somehow came to the games later during the tournament, and just that great game that they had that first game against Spain, and just scratching and clawing their way through all of that and whatnot. And then you had some like heart-stopping moments, like, you know, like you had Harry Kane, you know, clutching up when it looked like they were about to lose to Congo, get embarrassed by Congo. They clutched up towards the end and whatnot. And then you just had some other really good games like Brazil versus Spain, Brazil versus Japan. Brazil won towards the end and whatnot. And then you saw Neymar kind of like going back and forth with that one goalie against Norway. And you just, there was a lot of like great moments this tournament. Like it was fun. And then that third place game, like honestly, that is probably my favorite part of this tournament. Was there was 10 goals scored, you know, in Bob, like it looked like Germany, they were up 4-0. Or Germany, excuse me, what the fuck? England, they were up 4-0. And it looked like it was a snooze fest. And it looked like, you know, France, you know, like they didn't want to even be there. Then all of a sudden they started coming back, and, you know, Saka had a hat trick, and it was just incredible. And England won a bronze medal, you know, which, you know, is kind of a big deal for them, you know. I mean, you know, I was hoping that France would have won it, but, you know, regardless, you know, it is what it is. But there were some really good moments this tournament for sure, you know. Yeah. And then, you know, you had the crazy ending with Algeria and Austria, which was bullshit. But, you know, when Algeria scored the goal, it looked like, oh my God, you know, Algeria's gonna qualify, and they're gonna let Iran qualify, and then fucking, oh my God, dude. You know, Austria, you know, comes back and scores a goal, and it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Seriously, you know, that was that was a hard pill to swallow, but, you know, it is what it is. And then yeah, and then Iran scoring against Egypt. It looked like they were about to win the game. Thank God the goal got called back and whatnot. Yeah, there was some controversy when it came to like the refereeing and the VAR and whatnot, and just a lot of bullshit. But regardless, like I said, you know, there was good, but also there was a lot of bad that outweighed the good. So it is what it is. But anyways, you guys, man, yes, fuck Argentina. Best England finish for England is 1966, man. Wish they would have won it instead of fucking Spain, but whatever. Anyways, you guys, man, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it with that. Until the next one in Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. I don't even know where the Euros is gonna be at. Zach, you know, go beforehand. Let me know which the where the Euros is gonna be at. If I'm not mistaken, I heard Greece, but I think I'm also tripping too. Right? I heard either Greece or Germany. You know what? Let's look that up right now. Oh wow, United Kingdom. So United Kingdom, Scotland, Wales. That will be pretty fun. That will be pretty fun. DFW, what's good, man? Hope you're doing well, man. I just want to say appreciate you. You know, I know Billy, you know, has mentioned to me every once in a while that you've been asking about me, man. It's really great to hear from you again, man. I am gonna cut the stream off, but you know, hope you're doing well, man. Um, I really do, you know, and yeah, it really has been a minute, man. You know, just haven't really been going live as much. But anyways, you guys, man, I have to get going. I have to get ready for work soon, man. Just wanted to talk about the World Cup once again. Congratulations to Spain. You know, and I guess shout out to U.S., Canada, and Mexico for rocking this World Cup, man. This World Cup could have been a lot better, but it still had its good moments, and it's definitely going to be remembered um, for a lifetime. Definitely worth lifetime filled memories and whatnot. But congrats to Spain. Anyways, on to the real football now. Training camp right around the corner. We're about to start real football. Can't wait for that. Go Raiders. And yeah, anyways, you guys, man, it's been your boy Ash, and I'm out. Peace, and as always, see you on the next one.